Upstairs that we would look to at the very beginning of the stage. We'd be looking down that fixture list eagerly to see where Cloud9 and CYCLOPS will meet each other. This time it's come early on play day number 2, and as you say, not the best time for Cloud9 coming off the back of that big loss and going straight back to the same map, but as we've already said, a mixed bag of results for them here. If nothing else, CYCLOPS, they have seen the key, surely. They have watched Playday 1's matchup, and DWG Kia have given them all the answers that they need. Des, this is like coming into an exam for them, and they've got the answers written up their arms. They've just got to lift their sleeves up. I mean, I'm not condoning cheating, Des, but, you know, they've got all the information ahead of time.
If Ace did well at school, we know exactly why.
We know why. Did he have his sleeves down?
I mean, your name is Ace after, like, you know, the ace up your sleeve, all that kind of stuff, and the pyro pieces about Fool's Gold. You are just one hell of a crook, aren't you, mate?
I've been uncovered. Maybe it's M's investigation agency that's found me out. They see what's going on here, see?
Honestly.
It's catchy.
It's just what she does. She just turns things from, you know, a perfectly professional desk into absolute chaos. It's just the way she likes doing things. However, there is a game on your screens, which we'll try not to forget about that this time round. The bans have rifled through with the Monty, Nomad, Kaid and Valkyrie being taken off the board. The Monty one that you and I have seen banned in both of our games today, I believe.
Yes, we did. We saw Monty banned out earlier as well. Again, for anybody watching who's maybe not, maybe as familiar with APAC, we are getting a little bit later in the day now as well. So I'm sure going to have some of those European viewers drifting in as well and catching the action. Monty is quite often used inside of APAC very, very well by a number of the teams. I'd say in terms of World Siege, they're probably one of the heavier shield regions. Yeah. We've seen it drop off in LATAM. So I think APAC probably take that title at the minute. So not too much of a surprise. It's, it can have an impact on some of the attacking strategies that these teams are going to look to hide behind. So the Monty goes, Valkyrie, Nomad, Kaid being our others as well. Nomad just going to maybe increase aggression a little bit, but obviously the Valkyrie then tempers that a bit as well because you're lacking in that information you might otherwise have had.
Yeah, I think when you think about the players on the side of CYCLOPS who play it, Anderton will be the one that I dive to with things like the Monty. Of course, not going to be an option for them. Just don't want to give CYCLOPS the ability to stabilise because, looking back at last week, let's not forget both of these teams played on this map, so they should have a lot of information on each other, a lot to be able to come into the table and go, okay, this is what they were running. Is there something else they can surprise us with? Have we seen them play it otherwise? Questions that you can ask on that front. But looking at the lineups on either side to begin with, we're touching, of course, on that Frost, almost like it's so well themed for a snow-based map ace, and also a great way to trigger you at the best of times.
Certainly is. I've got a bit of magnetic feet when it comes to those frost mats. They just seem to gravitate towards them no matter how many times I get warned. And to be honest, with what we've seen over the last couple of months, Des, it's becoming the same for the pros as well. Once upon a time, it was unthinkable for pro players. You were the worst pro player if you walked into a frost mat, basically. It really was. It was absolutely unthinkable for players at this level to end up inside of a frost mat. It was just, one of the sort of gospel rules that there's no way pro players go into frost mats. They just don't work at this level of play. But recently, since Frost saw those changes, Gatorade just getting the opener onto Harper there. Frost saw some changes to her loadout, particularly that's brought her right back into the meta. And we're seeing that the pro players play inside of their ADS view so often that they do get caught out by the POG mats, by the frost mats. They will get snapped on quite often now. So 3 versus 3 as we have a flurry of kills in the early round there. We are defending up on the top floor with Cloud9 here in round number 1, and they have lost their smoke. Not ideal. Nova going by the wayside.
Yeah, early on at least, that big scrap around the north side of Piano leading in towards Bathroom. That's in things being a 3 versus 3. However, I believe the side of Cloud9 did lose a man a little bit earlier on. So the way it shapes out now in the 3 versus 3, Plant is going down. 90 seconds still on the clock. Envy stepping in. Shotgun, wrong spot. Going to blast up next in there, and he's going to ignore it, commit the Plant to going down. And now all the work needs to be done by the other side. iGator steps up, finds one. What a snap onto the head of Static as you heard his neck snap in two. Beautiful start. Envy entirely by himself here has got a lot of work to do if the team want to walk away the winner from this round. But to me, it feels like CYCLOPS have just completely big brain the hell out of Cloud9, and round 1 should be theirs.
It certainly seems that way. They've come in, they've got that diffuser down, just really played the objective quickly, no messing about. Anaton it's going to be to finish things off from above, just pulling out the pistol and finding those final shots, and that is a great first round coming in from CYCLOPS. And immediately, Des, you start worrying about Cloud9. They've given access over, they've lost that entry kill, they've given access over to the site, they've allowed the diffuser to go down far too quickly, and it just... well, it screams Playday 1 to me, and I am concerned for them here already.
It's quite wild, I thought, that Alligator managed to get himself inside of office, you know, in the middle of the site and was holding this angle through piano. I was like, anyone could come in and plant behind him, and sure, it took a bit of time to rotate the diffuser around, but once that was done, it was simple and easy. Nothing really to say about it. Didn't really look like much of a challenge for CYCLOPS, the only resistance coming from the north side of piano. So for Cloud9, I want to see them book up their ideas here. We're going back to the same site. If you know that CYCLOPS are going to attack you from the Solarium side, a little bit more resistance might be needed, including potentially a C4 or 2 below.
We speak at length time and time again about the importance of verticality on Chalet, so absolutely keeping a defender or two underneath and trying to keep them alive. Not only will it waste time in that CYCLOPS will have to go and deal with them, but as you say, there is the potential for those vertical denials as well. Now, we've got the mirror, we've got the Melusi with static on the side of Cloud9, so 2 nitros available to them. I'd expect Harper more than likely to play upstairs just because of the slow speed of mirror to enable her to get back from downstairs, but Melusi certainly has the pace to be able to move around quite freely in the map. See her played underneath more and more often and using that nitro for that vertical denial, so maybe something for Cloud9 to think about here, just to stretch their defense a little bit and stretch the attack of CYCLOPS.
Maybe part of that came down to Cloud9 extending down towards the south, towards the library, which is very commonly where we'll see teams go, and the assumption always will be that the attackers will come and meet you there. Whereas going straight to site, as we say sometimes, like with the SSG roam on Clubhouse, sometimes going straight to site is the best way to get around it. Now, you've got one mirror window here sat looking inside a library, quite a hotspot often, and this almost screams again, I think I spoke about it earlier on today, the way that some teams are defending key entry points into a map is getting really aggressive and right up against them. Think about Cafe Piano. When you're setting up shields and leaving the walls soft, looking inside a piano from storage, you stop players being able to walk inside there. I can't remember the site that we were talking about earlier on, but there was a second one today as well. I'm getting the same sort of vibes here where it's well, you're going to struggle to even step inside library here with this mirror window staring you down.
Already concerned for Cloud9 in round 2, Des. Inside the first minute, they've been completely cleared out of library and mezzanine, forced back to site here. CYCLOPS taking great control of the map. We know how important that mezzanine area can be. In goes the Flores drone. It will anchor, cannot be destroyed in time, and takes out the ADS. That is particularly important because it's going to make it even more difficult for Nova to keep himself locked in there. Gatorada still has one nade in hand. I'm not sure. We'll see when Suzuki comes back whether he's got any available as well on the sledge, but it is going to mean that the smoke needs to be extremely careful playing in and around piano now.
They've got 2 or 3 of them looking to sort of hold down that main central area on the top floor just to try and prevent CYCLOPS, getting the control they need to go for a push. But a well-placed nade or 2 could be the big difference maker. Looks like for CYCLOPS it's going to be that rotate up towards the north side. Why bother trying to break open a full defensive hold in a key area of the map when you can ignore it and again go from a different angle or just push straight into the site? Seems to be part of their play here, but after making that rotation in the mid-round, they are a little bit short on time. Shyle being taken out by Blackray.
Great start once again for CYCLOPS. 2 rounds, 2 entry kills. This time it's Shio going down and will be followed by Nova on the smoke. We said that he was in a perilous position, but Static, he manages to get one with the Nitro, followed up by MB Taylor to level things out 3-3. 30 seconds left to go, and the push comes in through Solarium as Anaton tries to find himself an angle through into the bathroom. Ayagator manages to find Harper, and Anaton, he's able to start thinking about getting that diffuser down once again, and that's exactly the process that he begins now. Are they aware of Static on the Solarium flank? He tries to challenge onto the window. He's got no choice because there's a man there on the rappel. It's Anaton, it's Ayagator. They shut down the final 2, and that's going to be another round to CYCLOPS on the attack.
I mean, It was even harder for Cyclops this round than the previous one, where they rotated later into the round, where Cloud9 still had the numbers on side and weren't worried about, being pushed in surprisingly. Yet still somehow Cyclops end up with the site control. They end up with control of the mirrors. And it's Cloud9 attacking back into their own defense. Twice that has now happened. And I don't know if it's just a bit of a wonky setup coming out of Cloud9 where they're making this a little bit too easy for Cyclops. But I think it's time to step away from that top floor. Something clearly is not working. That's exactly what we'll go for here as we go down into bar and gaming. So expect to see quite a lot of heavy presence inside of library, the sort of area they've already been defending in the last couple of rounds, but now for an actual purpose because, well, it sits right above the site.
Round 3, it is going to be, as you say, bar and gaming, so library and mezzanine going to be even more important here. Cloud9 cannot afford to be forced out of that area so quickly because it just puts you under so much pressure for the entire round. As it was, Cyclops attack able to come in through Solarium ultimately, but it still leaves the defense super exposed and just really reduces the movement and the options that they've got up there on the top floor. We can see utility already being expended, so they are expecting a top floor push once again to come in from Cyclops, who can largely do very similar to what they did in the last round, at least to begin with. They can start with that top floor clearance, move across, get that map control, and then they can start thinking towards the site. Now, no Frost, interestingly, this time around. We have seen Cloud9 bring her along, but they haven't chosen to here in round number 3, and we would usually see the Frost mats played underneath the double window inside of site, which would be one of the default plant spots. That's not going to be the case, so it could be an option for Cyclops here to explore. If they can force Cloud9 out of library and out of games, they may be able to just get a quick plant down exactly where we're looking now, inside that normal default spot.
Your eyes must have lit up seeing 3 laser gates all next to each other there, Ace, all stacked up in the main piano area. Again, the central point of the map, Gatorada finding static nice and early inside a library, and here it is. Look at all that red, Ace. It's like a laser maze.
It certainly is. Static going out of library and once again giving up that territory. Cyclops are going to be able to keep aggressing on and maybe move in. Blackray, surely no, he doesn't manage to get Harper on the Aruna. He just scarpers away with his life there. Very lucky. Keeps himself out on mezzanine for the time being, and he is in an important position because he's preventing Cyclops getting themselves into library, but there will be nothing to stop them nowadays as the flood is coming forward. Ayagator gets MB Taylor. It's 5 versus 2. 5 versus 1. It's all Cyclops right now. Cloud9, where are you? It's time to show up. Shio, he gets 1, but shut down by Blackray on the library stairs. And this is going badly for Cloud9. They must be having flashbacks, Des. It's Chalet, and it's not a good start.
Oh, no. I honestly thought coming off the back of last week, it would be week 1 nerves, where it just looked a bit shaky in the first week. They'd brush themselves off, they'd come back into things ready and refreshed to go. But here, Cyclops are the driving force. We said at SI, we said it last week, they look like the stronger team coming home from SI. Despite Cloud9 getting ever so slightly further, we thought on the final day of groups, Cyclops looked like the more impressive team, taking 2 EU teams to overtime on Cafe. They were incredibly impressive, and I'm really pleased to see it carrying on now. And I don't want to pin it all down to one person as well, by the way, but when Hybrid joined them last year, I believe he came across from Scars, they really leveled up in stage 1. I still remember their first playday on Coastline, and I was like, whoa, what is this not so slow and passive Cyclops doing? They're looking aggressive, they're getting up to doorways and making sure attackers are being contested on the entry, and they very narrowly took the first place spot in stage number 1, well, stage 1. You saw how things played out in the end. It was Cloud9 that took the flawless 7-0 with that last playday, not quite meeting the expectations we wanted, but this could be their stage. If they beat Cloud9 today, that was their only thing that stood between Cyclops and being first place last stage. They're on the way there.
I often think about teams' performance and ability as a curve, if you will, Des. You know, we don't know what that curve looks like ultimately. And right now, Ayagator and the rest of Cyclops are certainly still on the up here in stage 2.
Let's see how this round number 4 plays out then. I think for the side of Cloud9, there's going to have to be a bit of a change of tack. And change of tack there will be, as Envy is now not the one playing on the Frost. It's going to be Harper blessed with those duties. Instead, Envy stepping across to playing on the Mute instead. And you look up and down their team so far. In terms of kills, 5 across the 2 rounds. Okay, fine. Half a team each round. Whatever you want to look at it. That last round was the one that really stung, as it was a near flawless for Cyclops. Just 1 kill short. And Ayagator's having an absolute screamer. A name that we're starting to talk about more and more in this Cyclops lineup. It's always promising signs for the Japanese region when you've got teams like Guts, even Fav and CYCLOPS all starting to step up and make themselves heard. And soon, of course, Team Fnatic also joining them in Japan once COVID restrictions allow. However, it's going to be another attack from the north once more, despite it not being this top floor attack that we're used to seeing. We are indeed downstairs inside of dining and kitchen, but it attacks much the same, only you'll have a little bit more resistance on the downstairs.
Trying to find some positive for Cloud9. It's going to be important for them here to come in and get that entry kill. But no, BlackRay on the upside down rappel finds a pixel above the shield. Perfectly timed to shut me up. Gets the kill onto Shayo. But Nova, he comes back in and trades that one back out onto Gatorada, leaving us 4 versus 4. Cloud9 got to keep themselves in touch here. They can't let that man advantage get away from them.
No. Nova's having a field day, by the way. First time round it was playing inside a piano looking into bathroom. Now it's bathroom looking into solarium. He's loving playing these tighter angles here with the SMG ready to just unload and spray. The rate of fire in the gun absolutely insane, despite it only having the 17 bullets. And of course always has the shotgun to move over to if he finds himself running out of the ammo. Getting tagged a couple of seconds there a moment ago, from below. Without going down, mind you, 4 versus 4. CYCLOPS have got about 60 seconds to play with. This is where you're now thinking, okay, when does the pressure start? Maybe right now. As Suzuki picks up Nova, that should be much of the north side now clear.
Harper on Frost just holding down angles there, moving through the soft wall to the bottom of those trophy stairs, but a little bit too late as the CYCLOPS man moves back upstairs for the time being. Harper forced back into kitchen, going to sit for the time being by that bomb chassis, and he's just looking to wait. He's just looking for that opportunity to peek out and get that kill, but it's just not coming his way for the time being. He's moved and he's got an alternative angle, but the bottom of trophy stairs is certainly his to look after. He keeps fighting there. Static as well, keeping himself reasonably static. BlackRay is who finds Harper though. Static does find Alligator as soon as he starts moving. 1 versus 3 now. Diffuser going down and it's looking bad for Cloud9. Shots rain through the wall from Static, but he can't do anything about the diffuser being planted and activated on the ground underneath him, and that leaves us now 3 versus 1. This is all in CYCLOPS hands. Static, he's going to have to do something unbelievable here. He's playing into the angles, finds one. What a shot onto BlackRay. Still 2 to go, and he's got about 21 seconds to do it if he wants to also disable the activated diffuser. Shut down ultimately by Suzuki, who was just led prone in behind the bed, waiting for his guaranteed opportunity, and when it came, he took it.
And no surprises here. Cloud9 are going to call the TAC timeout. Again, no surprises. In this situation, when you're 4-0 down, you can't keep up with the pace, the pressure, or the skill coming out of the side of CYCLOPS. Something's got to change. And in that round, it was who was playing what operator, maybe just a different lineup because of the site that we're playing on. But right now, Ace, they're struggling to find anything in this game. Sure, a couple of gunfights are being won, but that's what now. They had 5 coming into the round. They've maybe just got a couple more. It's not looking pretty.
There's absolutely nothing there for them. There's nothing there for them. They haven't got a single entry kill, which is something that, you know, we commented on. They did extremely well at SI. That seems to have gone out of the window as well. It's almost like the positives for Cloud9 are just being stripped away one by one. You know, I don't know what's going on at the minute, but CYCLOPS, they are taking every advantage that is placed in front of them. Right now, the word I'd use to describe CYCLOPS' performance, Des, is ruthless. Yeah,
that's a great way of describing it. And I believe it was last week we were speaking about BlackRay, and I want to say I think it was Gatorada, actually. Between the two of them, 30 kills. Just absolutely dominated Fnatic when it came round to the scoreboard, admittedly across 14 rounds, so 2 kills per round between them. Not a bad outcome, but you're hoping for 1 kill a round regardless. With how things are shaping up, though, Cloud9, changes got to be made for the side of CYCLOPS. Just keep it up. The pressure and the aggression, that's where you're seeing like Cloud9 be very brittle and start breaking and snapping under the smallest bit of pressure. Sure, 1 or 2 nice shots coming in, but like you mentioned, without the entries on side to give yourself that initial advantage, they are struggling to find a way into the game.
Given what we've seen so far, honestly, Des, I can't see, and maybe this will be cast as curse, I apologise in advance.
You've already done it once, mate.
Why not? Let's go for it. I've got to level things out. I'll give one to Cloud9 this time. I can't see that tactical timeout making any real impact on this CYCLOPS attack, if I'm honest, Des. They're just absolutely running rampant at the minute. And is a 30-second break going to slow them down? Is it going to make all the difference? I honestly don't think it is. When you're hitting headshots like this, look at this. BlackRay pops down, fraction above the shield. There you go. Say goodnight. It is over. It is done. Just removed from behind that shield. There was nothing Shiol could do about that challenge. And we've had some nice kills on the side of Cloud9, but the problem is they're just too few and far between.
Alrighty, well, let's see how round 5 plays out. You don't think it will have a massive impact? Hopefully for Cloud9 it does, else this one could be yet another rapid defeat on Chalet, and suddenly the conversation turns to, is Chalet really a map that Cloud9 should ever chance go into again? You'd wager maybe not, unless it's in the Korean Open, where, as we've said a few times now, about 5 days ago, they did beat T1 quite convincingly on there, 7-2. They've shown they can play it, but as far as I'm aware, in their game last week against Damwon, it was the defenses where they didn't do well either. Don't know what it is. We notice the map's generally considered attacker leaning at the moment, and for Cloud9, they're definitely adding to that stat line quite comfortably after last week and so far today.
The other exciting thing here, Des, is that I would say, and I would say this with some reasonable confidence, if we see Cloud9 lose again today, I think that already signals that we are going to have a new #1 team in APAC North in Stage 2.
Yeah, true.
I don't think that they're going to lose 2 out of 7. I don't think even 5 wins will probably be enough to secure top spot for them. They might get lucky if a few results go their way, but they're going to need an awful lot of luck.
Charles here a little bit pinched out here. Good pressure coming in from CYCLOPS, something they felt no doubt against Fnatic last week. Remember actually explicitly Fnatic having one of their players outside the trophy window watching for someone to come running down the stairs, and Charles, lucky to have his life, won't have it for much longer though, as they have got his number every day of the week inside the map and out it. They're going to find something. It's Static, the first one to fall.
I mean, I'm going to find another parallel here for you, Des. I mentioned earlier about, you know, the parallel to the LATAM teams and the way that Guts play and how we're seeing that evolution come through. Unfortunately for Cloud9, the parallel I'm drawing here is to the Russian teams in EUL. It just seems like they've just dropped off a cliff right now. There is absolutely nothing. If you came in saying there was a potential for Cloud9 to go 0-14 on rounds in their first 2 play days, honestly, I'd have laughed at you, Des. But right now, does that look wildly impossible? Absolutely not. CYCLOPS are on top of them. They've got the opening kill again. Gator opening things up onto Static. MB Taylor is going to find one onto Black Ray, but they'd also lost Nova along the way. Static and Nova being 2 of their most effective players so far, and they're off the board. And they've now got to find a way to get this round over the finish line. They've got to get it on the board because 5-0 is catastrophic for Cloud9.
That being said, not strictly in bad positions here. Charles still holding around on the site. Harper still running around like a bit of a lunatic. Charles finding one onto Suzuki actually for the 3 versus 3, making it a 2 versus 3 to start playing out. 20 seconds to go means some pressure on the side of CYCLOPS, and the down into Anaton is going to help an absolute truckload. Now they know where the final 2 are though. Gatorada finds one, sees the second as well. In fact, no, it's Shiol to bring down Gatorada. 1 versus 1, sees the head, but Shiol wins it. Cloud9 will end their winless streak and find a round, but it is just that ace, a single round. We need to see another one coming in round number 6.
Gator missing shots there. There's no other way to put it. The opportunity was in front of him. And if you were going to bet that anybody would win out that 1 versus 1 for CYCLOPS, it would have been Gator. But no, couldn't land those shots. Shut down. And that is Cloud9, as you say, picking up their first round of Stage 2 here. Now, the question is, Des, is that going to break the seal? Is that all that Cloud9 needed? Are we going to see them come racing back into this one? There is a long way for them to go. They're going to have to improve the performance. The rounds that they've lost haven't just been down to bad luck, really. It's been CYCLOPS playing fantastically well, and if that continues, Cloud9 have got their work cut out, but every journey starts with a single step, Des, and Cloud9 have got one on the board.
And this is the site that I think we need to see to show us whether or not Cloud9 have learned from what went wrong in the first 2 rounds. We're going back to where it all started, where CYCLOPS in both rounds, admittedly the second after an attempt on the south side, then moved towards Solarium, where we saw them come in from Solarium, go for a plant inside of Office, and quite comfortably take control of both sites and make Cloud9 look like the attackers in a post-plant situation. So for Cloud9, more pressure up towards the top side of the map here, more disruption tools being brought along, the mirror being brought here for Library, I imagine. You'll see the second window being faced inside of Office itself, looking in towards the master bedroom. Not so much inside here, but more the one that looks in towards the second site. That's what they had last time round. Didn't really help them, admittedly, but here I'm hoping.
So we head into the action phase, and I think Cloud9 really need to back up that round win with an entry kill here. Give themselves something to go into the round with, some energy, some confidence, rather than having to play from that back foot constantly at a man disadvantage. Get themselves the opener, don't allow it to be traded, and just really let that settle in for CYCLOPS. Let them know now that they're in for a game, because if CYCLOPS come in here, big entry kill, and then take the round and it's 5-1, you start looking at that round 5 victory for Cloud9 and thinking, yeah, it's just a blip. It's just, you know, that's all it is. We've moved on from that already, and really they need to make more of it from that. They're not having many chances come their way at the minute, so when they do, they've got to make sure that they don't slip through their fingers.
At least in the first minute or so, no one being caught out. No crazy aggression coming out of CYCLOPS, doing the good job of getting on those drones, sending the boom bots out around the map to go and find what bits of utility they can, or at least try and do some damage before they are shot out. One thing I will give to Anaton, and for a lot of the Japanese teams, it feels like they have been making good use of the Flores so far. Some teams using it for the soft destruction. I think of the team that played earlier, I forget who they were. Which team was Mario joined recently? The name has completely slipped my mind. Guts. Guts were the ones using it a lot for soft destruction. Others have been using it more for this focus of making players move or trying to destroy gadgets such as those evil eyes coming out of the Maestro.
We certainly see it have a lot of flexibility in the hands of the pros, and that's what I always love about the new gadgets. You know, we have them in sort of ranked and casual play for a period of time before they get through their professional quarantine, but when they do start being used at this level, that's when you see all those sort of new ideas coming out and those new uses, and it certainly is interesting to watch the evolution and development of Flores. Now, Ayagator comes in once again with that opening kill, this time onto NB Taylor. That takes the Mozzie off the board. He's straight onto the cams to try and support his team. You can see that on the UI there.
Great grenade.
Exactly what NB Taylor is looking at. That is a good grenade, but Suzuki able to just slide himself down that wire and keep himself out of danger. What a reverse nade coming in there onto Harper. That's an absolute beauty there, leaving us now 4 versus 3 as Nova does manage to pick up a kill with the Alder, and then Static through the open mirror window gets one on Hamilton. This is turning into a bloodbath right now, Des, and it all shakes down to a 2v2, 30 seconds to go.
Uses cold, so it's going to have to come down to kills. Oh, he just doesn't know that Static is crouched off to the left-hand side. The south push coming in, at least here from CYCLOPS, has worked pretty well. What a shot from Ayagator. He knows the Maestro's around Piano. Those gunshots are going to come through. The Alder normally wins those, but Ayagator wins this one. They take the half 5-1, and for a second, it looked like Cloud9 might fight their way back in, but my God, is this going to be a steep mountain to climb on the attack.
It really is. As I said, Cloud9, that was a very important round for them. If they come away from that first half, 4-2 down, you're thinking, right, we've got 2 rounds in a row, round 5, round 6. We're carrying momentum into our attack now. Maybe we're back here. Maybe we're all in again on Chalet. But now you look at it and you think, as I say, absolutely not. It's a blip. It's just a little bump in the road, essentially, for CYCLOPS is that round. They've come straight back out, full force. And the thing is, they're 5-1 up now, moving on to the defence. They can afford to play this reasonably passively. They don't need to get overly aggressive. They don't need to peak too much. They can take the chances if they want to. Sure, they can have a look for a peak. Sure, they can take a little jump out, but they don't have to. There's no onus on them to do it. They can just hold their angles and just force Cloud9 to play. And right now, Cloud9, surely they're going to be in their own heads at this point. What can we do here? What is going wrong? How do we turn this around on Chalet? And that could be very difficult to get something moving on attack if that's the mental game that you're playing against.
What I do admire from CYCLOPS in the last round is again showing that adaptability. After 2 rounds of attacking via Solarium, they move themselves up and attack entirely from the south instead and look to have quite a bit of a war inside of Piano. And look at this, bounced off the rafters straight onto his noggin, takes him and the whole body out in situ. And here's that couple like 1-2 tap, bam bam, easy peasy. And the pre-fire that came out from the Maestro, I think, gave him away here. We saw this earlier on with Typon's 1v1 on the Echo, where I think he pre-fired onto JJ, and that one shot was enough for JJ to know that he was being pushed and swung and collected the kill that won the round for Guts when they were attacking into AVG on Villa. Similar sort of story. It still ends up with the scoreline at 5-1 to CYCLOPS. Cloud9 on the attack. Hopefully, this is where they can shine a little bit, as most teams look far more comfortable attacking Chalet at the moment than they do defending it.
We've got Gazzarada on the Legion up on the top floor. He has taken a little bit of damage, and as I suggested, you know, taking the opportunity there to have a little peek. They've got a nice advantage now, so it's not the end of the world if they do lose somebody. You know, getting that early round start might just have fired them up towards a 6-1 here, so it's worth a risk or two over the next couple of rounds, but they need to make sure that they don't allow that to get out of hand now. We've got the Sam cams coming out there, Envy Taylor just moving in with those Argus cams to try and get as much information as possible for Cloud9 on the attack. Nova moving in along with Harper, clearing out that basement level. They are attacking onto Bar and Gaming, but just very aware that, of course, there is the potential for defenders roaming around underneath. We've got Black Ray with a Nitro in hand, so it is an option that needs to be considered.
Speaking of the Argus cams, for Envy, it has been his most played operator. Now, admittedly, only one attacking round coming through, but these boys started to employ it a little bit towards, so a little bit in SI, sorry. We saw Finker from them back in stage 1. Something that really they never bought into last year. They played very much standard Siege last year. The Ash, the Zofia, Hard Breaches and a Thatcher was kind of their go-to attacking lineup. Occasionally the Blackbeard if the Zofia got banned away from Shile, for example. Speaking of which, on the Zofia here, with it not being banned away, of course he'd be the one defaulting to playing it. He's going to find the entry for the team onto Suzu C, something they struggled with a lot in the first half. Oh.
A great start. A great start. We get a trade coming in. Ayagator very late on the trade onto Shiol, but Harper finds Gatarada, but not being traded out by Anaton. And that is a problem for Cloud9. They're just being clawed back in. Every time they get a kill, they never get themselves a serious man advantage at the minute. And they need to think about the positioning when they're taking these kills and keeping themselves safe rather than playing into those crossfires and those trades and allowing themselves to be taken down. So we find ourselves 3 versus 3, 40 seconds left to go. And the worst enemy for Cloud9 right now is going to be if they have to play too tightly against the clock. And I like what I'm seeing. Nova, he's getting that diffuser down, but he has to come off and is taken down from above by Ayagator. That is great play once again from CYCLOPS. I thought that was going to be a pivotal moment in the round where Cloud9 had averted that situation where they were going to have to play against the clock. Now, Anaton comes round and finds the kill onto Envy Taylor. It's all falling apart on attack here. Static, he's got 3 to find, only 10 seconds to do it. He can't get the first as he's shut down by Ayagator, and this goes from bad to worse for Cloud9.
No vertical clear means no control of the site, means chances are you are not going to stick that plant, and CYCLOPS prove exactly why you need to have that vertical control on your side. I love the sound of the Ella shotgun, by the way. It sounds like it almost barks at you as it snaps 3 or 4 shotgun shells in towards your face there. Envy Taylor left with no chance, and that was after the Ella had already found a kill a little bit earlier into the round. CYCLOPS at 6-1. These last 2 games looking to be 7-1 results coming out the back of it. And Cloud9 are going to have...
Look at Ayagator!
What? 15 kills?
15 and 2.
In 7 rounds.
That is absolutely terrifying.
Yes.
That is like the scoreline of the random on the opposite team every time I play rank.
This is like one of those your Jaeger versus our Jaeger, right?
Yeah, exactly that. My Jaeger's like 1 and 7.
Running around with all 3 ADS still in the back pocket, charging around with the pistol, gets slapped off from the spawn. Their Jaeger just dominates everyone.
15 and 2, no problem at all. There goes my Elo. moving. I tell you what, Cloud9 don't have very much Elo at the minute here. They really are struggling inside of stage 2. It's not been an easy couple of games for them. That much is for sure. Really don't know what's going on inside there. This is coming from the #1 team in stage 1, and they've just absolutely disappeared. And I don't think it's just purely down to others catching up, Des. I think that is part of it. We're seeing teams like CYCLOPS, Fnatic all improving their performances. DWG, Kia along with them, Fav coming through now, and we are seeing these teams improving, and they are catching up to Cloud9. But unfortunately, Cloud9 are on the way down as well. It's not that they're just sort of the same as they were last year. They're actively performing worse than they were last year, and they really need to find a way to put the brakes on quickly.
There we go, Charles straight in and already being met by CYCLOPS. Again, what I spoke about before with these boys was last year they were incredibly passive and slow. Here they're trying to greet Cloud9 on their entry into the building. There's 2 different people going for the challenge, and it's Anaton on Library Stairs with the Titan Killer doing some work. Black Ray traded out by Harper just a few seconds later, but from long range by Anaton. He's an absolute monster on this Ella. 2 kills in the previous round, already making it 2 here in this round, and CYCLOPS looks like they're going to be able to walk away with this win over Cloud9 unless we see something magic come out in the second half of the round.
Anaton is a killing machine. There's no two ways about it. Unstoppable now that he's got himself on the Ella on defence. And you can see he's just absolutely itching for more engagements here. Just trying to use those information tools to give himself that next opportunity. He is ready to go. We are moving in now. 4 versus 3 for CYCLOPS. And they are just ready to close this out here at the halfway mark.
Yep, stepping up that way very, very comfortably for them. But let's see as things kind of settle down. Now we've had the initial sort of entry battles. Of course, CYCLOPS have come out on top. Why wouldn't they, with how the game has played out so far? And immediately they know, as soon as that peak comes in, there's a player there ready and waiting. It just feels like CYCLOPS are always giving Cloud9 something to worry about. There's always a headache. And look at Anaton, look at him! The man has no fear! Goes for the run out here. Nova's a little bit too composed, but my God, does he survive by the skin of his teeth. He's got about 3 HP to his name, Ace. That and a dream. 3 versus 3. And with the 60 seconds left, this is where the pressure starts to mount on Cloud9.
Maybe a little bit of over-aggression and over-excitement coming in from Anaton there. A little bit of chill might just have helped him out, but it doesn't matter too much. He's 3 versus 3 and he's sent a message, if nothing else. He's taken a lot of HP off Nova there and he's left him in a very difficult situation. 40 seconds left to go now and Cloud9 have to get some moving. That's exactly what they're going to do. In goes Nova, starts getting that diffuser down. This time he won't be successful. No, he won't, Des. A fraction of a second remains as the impact nade lands.
Planting on that office wall and not having vertical control. Oh, it's such a killer. It's the same as in the last round, Ace. With Baron gaming, they didn't have the control above, and Anaton ruined them. This time round, it's Irrigator doing it, stepping up with his 16th kill of the map. 5 seconds remain. Cloud9 not lost as they clash into each other. They charge off. They want to make this plan happen, but with no idea of where the final 3 members are. It all comes down to Static. Just go absolutely massive. They're stepping their way up. There's the flank coming in behind. They've got the long angle. He sees the man. It's a CYCLOPS. Shuts out here as they completely dismantle Cloud9's legacy. 1 round over 2 play days. Is this the end of the Cloud9 dynasty?
Unfortunately, it is looking that way. You know, we have to be honest and call it as we see it, Des. And 1 round in 2 games for Cloud9 at the beginning of stage 2 is not the ideal start. It's catastrophic.
Catastrophic was actually the word I was going to use as the throw to death. Thank you very much. I'm going to have to try and think on my feet here and think of something else clever to say.